I've seen this narrative before. We string up a couple good performances, a couple good wins, and now all of a sudden the top four hopes are back. I'm not buying it. We figured that out earlier this season where when we have sort of this belief in this team and we give this team the benefit of the doubt, we get left down. After Cagliari beating Real Madrid, after beating Inter in the derby the first time, beating Inter the second time in the derby in the Supercoppa, and it still didn't give us any hope going forward in the season. So just because we, string up a couple good results, we think we're back in the top four race. I'm not buying it. I still do not have that much faith in this team to turn around the season that much. But what I will say is that this was a respectable game from Milan from a standpoint where we saw a lot of positive things, more so in the second half because the first half was absolutely terrible, especially that Yunus Musah missed chance. That is kind of the topic of discussion because of the missed chance he failed to convert. And you even see Reinders kind of move out of the way to give Musah that space to go into and finish the chance, or at least try to, and he completely failed to capitalize on that chance. And Musah had a bad game. Let's not, beat around the bush. Let's call a spade here. It was not a good game from Musah, and he's an interesting player because I personally like the idea of a Yunus Musah type midfielder because he reminds me of a Benacer type player where his close-up dribbling is really good and he's aggressive and strong in that sense, but he does lack a lot of experience. But you have to remember that he is still young, and I still think that he has a lot of potential to kind of grow into. I still would like to keep Yunus Musah. I still think he is a valuable asset going forward, and there's a reason why all these coaches have him in their teams because we saw Pioli utilize him a lot, we saw Fonseca utilize him a lot, and we saw Conceição constantly still use Yunus Musah. So I think it's just a matter of time we have to give to Yunus Musah to really hit that stride. But fans are growing impatient. But I think that because he is still young, I still think that you can form him in this type of midfielder that you want in a double pivot. I think him next to Fofana, I think would be really good. And I think if you can kind of, capture that lightning in a bottle with Yunus Musah, he can be a sensational type workhorse midfielder. So I would really like for him to kind of stay in this kind of role that he's been in. But what we've seen in the first half is what we've seen in the beginning of the year, right? Lifeless style of play, unencouraging football. And in the second half, I will say, however, we played a lot better in my opinion because Conceição made some proper changes to really change the game. And I think that with the introduction of Youssouf Fofana, it was really nice to kind of see him back again in the team. And I felt like he's been a little neglected under Conceição when under Fonseca, he was one of the first names on the team sheet. We were talking about Reinders and Fofana, creating that midfield duo. I was saying Fofinders because I was so bought into the idea of them being that midfield pivot, and they just worked so well together. And I feel like when Fofana did get introduced in the game, we played a lot better, in my opinion. In the offside goal that Como scored, all these men were complaining it was offside, but the semi-automated offside technology said it was offside. So I don't know what more you can say about that when the technology itself is very black and white. If you're offside, you're offside. Doesn't matter if you're a mile offside, an inch offside, or a centimeter offside. It doesn't matter. But one thing is for certain, that Christian Pulisic is undeniable. And that finish was a thing of beauty. And I think the league needs to put a little bit more respect on Christian Pulisic just because on the standpoint of where he kind of sits at for goal contributions. He's ahead of the likes of Lamine Yamal, Rodrigo, Kvaratskhelia. So I think you kind of need to put him in those conversations of top wingers in the world. Not saying he's like a top 3, top 5, but he needs to be in those discussions in my opinion. And I guess the point that you can make is, are we Pulisic dependent? Personally, I think there is a case to be made because when Pulisic is not on for us, we definitely struggle in moments where we need to unlock the game. And it's a shame that you have a player like Leao on the other side of the field not really doing much in this game, which is a big concern for me, at least because what he offers you is putting the opposition out of position. And he frees up space for other players to kind of work with, but I don't want Leao to be known for that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So to be honest, it's the same discussion we have week in and week out with Leao. Does he get involved this much? Yeah, he pops up with an assist here and there, but you're just always asking for more. But I'm on the side of the conversation where I want Leao to stay, give him time, give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't want Leao playing defense because I feel like that kind of hinders his game a little bit. But I think it's always kind of the same topic of discussion, wanting more from Leao. But to be honest, when I see Pulisic kind of doing things like this, kind of makes me forget about Leao a little bit. So, which isn't a bad thing because I want all of our players to kind of be on the same page in that aspect where if one person is contributing, I don't need, like star-studded performances. Like as long as the team just plays good football and as long as everybody is on the same page in the standpoint of, kind of playing their roles, then that's all I can ask for. But I want to tip my hat to Tammy Abraham. He came in and he was an instant impact over Santi Jimenez, and he did exactly what this game needed. Good hold-up play and good awareness to let the ball go at the right time, and he was awarded with an assist for that Reinders goal. And Reinders took that goal really nice. A first-time shot into the near post in the bottom corner, sneaks past the Como goalkeeper, which we as Milan fans, we're so spoiled to have a player of this quality, Tijani Reinders, in our team. He had his fingerprints all over this game, and especially in the second half, in my opinion. Getting an assist for the Pulisic goal and then getting on the score sheet himself. So big up Tijani Reinders. I'm so happy that, especially because he extended his contract with us, so he'll be with us for so many more seasons with TG on the roster. My whole thing is, how can we build upon Reinders being in this team? Is he going to have that extra help? Are we going to see Fofana kind of be introduced back in the team? Is Bondo kind of play a certain role, which I didn't hate Bondo in this game, and I think he's just going to be one of those players that kind of comes off the bench and kind of maybe just offers that physicality going forward. And a sight that was surprising for me to see, at least, was Loftus-Cheek, and I think with 10 minutes of play that he had, he looked okay. And I know he's the player that got fouled for the Dele Alli red card and everything like that, but I think Loftus-Cheek, and I'm saying if, he can return to the form that we know that he can be, right? Versus, we always think to that PSG game, and I hate that that's always kind of like a reference point because that seems like ages ago. But regardless of the fact is, that was probably the best version of Loftus-Cheek we've seen in a Milan shirt. So if he can kind of return to that point where it's like he was, playing week in and week out, fit, having good performances, then he can be an integral part of not only this team, but in the midfield rotation. But I don't want to get too hasty because we know his quality, when it's not at its highest, it isn't the best, right? So if we can kind of, capture that form for Loftus-Cheek and really keep him fit, I think for the most part, if we can keep him fit, then that is the best thing that Milan can do going forward to kind of reintroduce him back into this team in the lineup and in that rotation. So, but we come away with 3 points, and although we still sit in ninth, we're 6 points behind top four. And it's really frustrating because I think of the games earlier this season, both Cagliari games, the Fiorentina games like that alone put us in the top four and potentially in the title race. So it's really annoying where it's like when we could have capitalized on those situations where it's easy points to pick up, we failed to capitalize, and now we're in a situation where it's like we may not even place in a European competition. And I'm really not confident of us finishing in a Europa League spot. Maybe we can get a Conference League, but again, when you have Bologna overperforming, when you have guys like Juventus who are, kind of always in and around that area, they're really inconsistent. Maybe they drop points. Lazio as well, they're always kind of in that conversation, and I know they've dropped a couple points in the last couple games, but it's like the reality of the situation is, yes, we have a international break, but can Milan really capitalize on these next couple games to put us in that position? And these are our next 4 league games, right? Yeah, we have those games in the Coppa Italia versus Inter, but this is strictly Serie A because I'm not really focused on Coppa Italia. I just want us to really finish as high as we can in the league. But these are our next 4 games. We go Napoli away, Fiorentina at home, Udinese away, and then Atalanta in the San Siro. So these games alone can, 1, decide the title race, who wins the Serie A, and 2, can really put us in the driving seat to take points off of Fiorentina and other teams in and around that top 4 spot. So guys, let me know in the comment section below what you kind of think. Where's Milan kind of going to finish? What do you guys think about this Como game? And do you think you guys are buying into us finishing top 4? So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.